Hello, good evening, everybody. I should get my microphone down here so you can hear me. Check, check, check. No checks, cash only. Oh, I forgot my tea. I'll be right back. It's not quite 7 yet, anyway. Let's see. Good evening, Depew G. Hi there. And Nias, Nebraska. Yeah, I'm in Mountain Time, so it's 7 here. Good evening, everybody. TR, and we'll get started here in a minute. Be sure and drop a comment over there in the chat and let me know where you're watching from tonight. Hello, Aaron. Glad to have you along. How's things out at the Amana colonies? So tonight I was going to do my spring checklist. I think I mentioned at the last live stream, I guess last week, that I was going to do that this week, but I had some work come up this week that kept me from getting it completely done. I'm up to 6 pages. And still got a little work to do on it, and my personal quality standards won't let me put out, half-done work. So what I'm actually going to do is produce a video this week, and then I'll premiere it next week. But I think I'm going to do it a little different and premiere it during my live stream. Been kind of experimenting and playing a little bit. For those of you with a technical bend, I use something called OBS, Open Broadcast Software. It's a freeware that allows you to broadcast live on YouTube, and there's all the others. You can do it on Twitch and all that other stuff. So anyway, next week I will be premiering, if everything goes good, because I think I've got some more work coming in this week, the spring startup checklist. Good evening, Randy. I hope things are well with you. I am fine, thank you. Actually, I'm a tad under the weather tonight. I think I'm feeling the after effects of getting the second COVID shot. Kind of feeling a little puny today. Spent a fair amount of time on the couch watching TCM. Ivan and Josie, hi. Great to have you on tonight, and I am well. Thank you. I hope everybody that is on here tonight is well as well. That's a lot of wells. Of course, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask them over on the chat window. I'll be monitoring that. But I did get some questions in this week, and so I thought maybe I would touch those real fast. Let me bring them up over here on the other screen. Yeah, it's definitely, Randy, better than having the virus. I'll put up with a couple of days of feeling puny versus 6 weeks in the hospital or whatever it is. I've only had a couple friends that have had the virus, and they've haven't had, they've been really ill, but neither of the friends of mine who have had the virus ended up in the hospital, fortunately. Larry McBride, hello, Larry from North Arkansas. My dad is in Northwest Arkansas. I think we've chatted about that occasionally on comments that you've made on some of my other videos. Pine Forge, Pennsylvania. Hi, Tess Jensen. Great to have you along as well. We'll hang out for just another minute or two here, and then we'll go ahead and get started. I did have some interesting questions come in last week. I have to go over here to Facebook because I had a couple come in on Facebook as well. And they might be instructive for some of you that are watching this tonight. We'll not share the names of the questioners because I think the question is probably more important than who was asking it. So audio good, and the video looks really good. It's hard for me to monitor the audio because there's about 9 seconds of delay between when I'm speaking and when it actually plays over on the stream. So I'm assuming the audio should be good. It was pretty decent last week, and I've got a pretty similar setup. Okay, one of the questions that came in, I'll go ahead and get started here. One of the questions that came in this last week was from a lady that was having trouble with her propane tank not receiving, I'll read you the question. I'm having an issue with my propane tank not receiving gas at several infilling pump stations. The tank is 3/8 full. The tank is attached under the van, which is pretty common. Do I have any ideas how to solve this? Thanks, Aaron. Yes, audio and video good. Well, yes, there's a couple things that could be going on. The first thing is it could be that the tank needs to be purged. Typically, the tank really only needs to be purged once. And what purging a propane tank does is there's air in the tank even if it's totally empty. Even a brand new tank, particularly a brand new tank, needs to be purged before you use it. Now, I bought a spare tank, I guess it was several years ago. I got it from Costco, and it was pre-purged. And what purging means is that they either pump all the air out of that tank because that way when you fill it with propane, you're actually getting the amount of propane in there that you should have. In this particular case, this lady reports that the tank isn't filling. It's only 3/8 full. There could be a couple things going on. First off, the tanks usually will have some kind of a meter on the outside, some kind of a level meter on the outside, at least on self-propelled. You can buy those aftermarket meters to put on propane tanks, like if you have a towable. And a lot of times they'll report to your monitoring station inside of the RV. So like in my rig, I have my tank level sensors, which monitors my holding tanks, my fresh, my gray, and my black water tank. It also reports on my batteries, and then it reports on how much propane I have. And it could be that your gauge isn't working properly. The other thing it could be is that there's a valve on the outside of those tanks, and you've seen them, and when they screw that pipe on, that hose on there, there's a check valve inside of there. And it could be that check valve is stuck. So my response to her was, go to a propane dealer, not a gas station, not the Flying J or the Pilot or wherever that they might have propane that you can buy, but actually go to a propane dealer. Go to the AmeriGas store. Go to if you're up here in Idaho, it used to be V1 Propane. Now I think it might be AmeriGas. But go there and have them take a look at it, because they're going to be the people that know how and what can cause a tank not to fill properly and give you the best solution in fixing it. In that particular case, anytime you're dealing with something like propane, those sorts of things, I believe personally it's best if you let the pros do it. If you follow my channel for a while, and I've been doing this now since 2016, I like to try to do as much of the work as I can myself to save money. I mean, it costs a lot to live nowadays. That's getting to be more and more if you've noticed how expensive fuel is getting. And I think maybe we'll chat about that in a bit. But in this particular case, I think it's probably best to go to a professional propane dealer or to your RV repair guy. they're going to know the best way to diagnose and fix that. And since it's an explosive gas, I don't like to mess around with stuff that can blow up, burn you, or cause you a lot of trouble. So I actually mentioned that if you're just coming on, I was going to do my spring checklist. I'm working on it, I promise. Um, and I was talking about maintaining or checking the furnace and your propane appliances. And I said that one of the important things to do is that if the basic things that a person, the owner of the RV can do is check things out. But you get to a certain point where things like propane, anything like that, I think it's best to go straight to the dealers, to your RV repair shop, potentially to a mobile repair guy. I'm a little bit more skeptical of some of the mobile repair guys. I've had an experience with one that didn't go well. So I think it's probably best that you go to a repair shop for something that has to do with propane or something like that. I have, I think I noticed and mentioned that I might mention this earlier, but up here in Idaho where I'm at, regular gas has gone up about 70 cents a gallon in the last 3.5, 4 weeks. And when you live in a cold climate like I do, they always blame it on winter mix or summer mix. In the winter, when you live in a cold climate, if you didn't know this, they formulate the gas a little bit different. They put different additives and those sorts of things in it so that it will meet the emission standards. And particularly important if you have like a diesel vehicle, because if you have a diesel vehicle and you're in a cold climate, the fuel can actually, they call it gelling, and it can actually turn into jello. And so they formulate the diesel a little bit different during the winter. So the big thing is every spring and fall when the fuel prices jump a lot, they always blame it on we're changing to the winter mix. I think it's just the inflation. I think we're going to see some inflation. We've come through a real rough patch as a country and a community, and there's a lot of pent up demand, and I think we're going to see a really busy summer out there on the road. I've also noticed that I've mentioned this before, and I have some viewers that are really looking forward to this project. And that is on my RV, the top at the cowling where the the sidewall comes up and then it kind of wraps up to the top. Well, the clear coat had failed on all of that, and so I sanded all that last year, and I actually got some vinyl wrap that I was going to use last year, but the color was totally wrong. And this is pre-pandemic, and now I've been waiting just on 3 weeks just to get some color samples. So it's crazy right now. It seems like, and everybody, of course, is blaming it on COVID. But I do have a project coming up here real soon. So for those of you that may be wondering, I have not sold my Class A yet because I wanted to make a couple final repairs. It's nothing critical. It's, I could sell it today. But again, it goes back to that personal pride I have in my equipment and the work that I provide to you and share with you either on YouTube or on my website. That I try to make it as high a quality as possible with that's valuable, that you're not wasting your time when you either watch the video or read the articles. I do have a couple pretty interesting articles over on my website at trbolin.com, and it always helps greatly if it's like on YouTube, just if there's traffic going over and checking out my website, or they're watching the videos. Thumbs up are really great too. The way it works with YouTube is if you get a thumbs up, that is one of those ticklers that makes YouTube present it to more people as a potential video they might want to watch. So, as always, your support is greatly appreciated. I have some new ones in, and if you have questions tonight, feel free to ask. Kathy, is that Bana? From Bellingham, Washington. I have family in Bellingham, Washington. I have an uncle and an aunt that live up there in Bellingham. get a quick sip. Aaron, I've given up on the thumbs up versus the number of viewers. If it's around 10% at the end of a week, then I'm pretty happy with the video, actually. What I'm commenting on is Aaron Jameson's comment of 21 people watching and only 5 thumbs up. Yeah, it is what it is. It's kind of funny. But yeah, your thumbs up are also greatly appreciated. A couple other questions that came in, and one was a comment that I have to share with you. This, again, was on YouTube, and it happens to be on my BioGeo method video. The BioGeo method, for those of you who may not have seen it, is my video on how to maintain your RV's holding tanks, particularly the black tank, stop it from stinking, keep it clean, the gauges and stuff working correctly, the level sensors and all, so on and so forth. But this comment came in, and it says, with the exception of 20 Mule Team, these additives all have ammonia products in them. Now, if you know the video, we're talking about borax. I appreciate it, Aaron. I'm talking about borax and Dawn dish soap. Now, trust me, Dawn dish soap does not have ammonia in it. I've looked. So anyway, the comment goes on. Eventually, your tank is going to smell worse than it did when you started. Combine these ammonia products with the ammonia in urine, and it will take weeks to get the stench out of your RV and clothing. That is why you use products with special enzymes that break down bodily waste and eliminate ammonia spills. Well, my response, as nice as I was trying to be, is sorry, Tom, but you are incorrect. Dawn dish soap does not contain ammonia. And I've been using this method for 6 years, and I've never had any trouble with ammonia smell related to the way I treat my tanks. You're going to get a little ammonia smell, and as I say in the video and have mentioned to many people, if you do, just throw a little bit more borax in and it disappears instantaneously almost. So then another comment came in, and I found this one pretty interesting too, from one of the internet experts out there. Chlorine dioxide is good for getting smells out of the RV after you fix the tank smell. It also kills bed bugs, black mold, etc., and removes cigarette smoke or OFS smell, which is old fart syndrome smell. It's a small tablet, looks like chlorine tabs for laundry, but chlorine dioxide makes a chlorine fog that gets everywhere. Okay, I think that sounds really, really dangerous to me. I don't know if I want to be dopping and throwing chlorine around in my RV. If it makes a chlorine fog, that's poisonous, and you sure as hell don't want to be in the RV messing around with that. And I would have to say that probably, I don't know, at least half of the average RVers out there are probably, I don't know if it would be safe for the average RVer to handle that. I remember a comment that came in about 3 months ago from a person that said you could get straight sodium perchlorate on Amazon and use that. For those of you who don't know, sodium perchlorate is what OxyClean is made of. OxyClean and borax laundry additive basically do the same thing. The chemistry is a little bit different. OxyClean, the intermediate, is sodium perchlorate, and in borax, it's hydrogen peroxide. They're both whitening agents, and they both work really good in the BioGeo method as far as the tank treatment to knock down the smell. I've had lots of reports back of people that use OxyClean, and they say it works great. I've never personally used the OxyClean because I've always just had the borax with me. And I think if you did the math on it, the borax is probably slightly cheaper than the OxyClean. But then there was another comment that comes in, and these are the ones I really like. They'll be related again to like how to do something. And in this particular case, this commenter said, Tank Tex RX, all that other PITA, PETA stuff, pain in the ass stuff, and smell goes away right now, enough said. And my response was, yeah, Borax does the same thing and costs a third of the commercial treatments. And come back, and apparently they didn't quite watch the video as close as they should have, because the response was, you don't use bleach, it would kill the bio-whatchamahoozits in the tank. And I said that in the video. It's one of the first things I said when we were talking about that. 2 tablespoons of the Tank RX and a tablespoon of sugar will do the whole season. I doubt that. Unless you dump it all out, which I did a couple times. I forgot to leave some in the bottom, and the smell is gone in minutes, and so on and so forth. All right, well, every one of those, there's some kind of pre-qualifier. You have to do it exactly this way. You have to have this. You have to do that. And it's too damn complicated. When I worked out this system to treat your tanks and make it easy, that's what I was trying to do, was make it easy, make it something that anybody could do. You didn't have to spend a lot of time thinking about it. You could just do it. And so, excuse me, 1 second here. I have the throat in my frog, and I need to clear my throat, and I don't want to blow your ears out. Okay, so I try to make it so that it's easy. Anybody can do it, and those sorts of things. Calgon and dish soap. Yeah, Calgon, basically, Aaron, is another water softening solution whitener. And I don't know the exact chemistry of Calgon. I know that it works well, but I just don't know the exact chemistry of that. Yeah, for 6+ years it works solid, doesn't it? Question from Food Porn Chef. All-in-one MPPT inverter versus Titan solar generator, 24 volt with 2 house solar panels, each 345 on my RV, which I'm also looking to use in a cabin within 5 years. Which to buy for long-term use? Okay, an all-in-one MPPT inverter charger. A good one, I think, is the Victron equipment. I have a video on my channel where I help a friend of mine, Andrew, install a Victron 3, I think it was a 3000 VA, 120 amp charger in his 2004 Newmar Dutch Star. It looks like mine. Well, it's basically the same as mine. Same floor plan, the paint's a little different. And so you might want to go watch that video for a few tips. There's also a video on my channel around doing solar panels, and the difference between MPPT, solar charge controllers, and those sorts of things that you might find very useful. So to answer your question, I think that the Victron equipment is pretty good. The solar panels, 345, that's pretty good sized. I have 6 310 watters on my RV, and you want to take and move them. So in that particular case, I would probably go with the Victron, and you should be able to move it around no problem at all. However, you'll also need a solar charge controller. And that, again, I would recommend the Victron, which is the one that I have. I have the 150-100. That's 150 volt, 100 amps. And the Victron equipment, it works well together, and it's all Bluetoothed, so you have an app on your phone that you can bring up. I don't think it'll reach out and touch my RV right now because the RV is still sitting in the driveway out there. But you get an app on your phone. It brings up all the statistics and everything associated with the system at that particular point in time. That's super handy. Sorry about that. Richmond, Texas. Hello, Amanda D. Welcome aboard. You're welcome, Robert. I do like to try to keep things simple. And if they're not simple, I try to explain it in terms that you can understand. Hello, Jim from Winnipeg. 60 degrees. Well, it was 74 here on Sunday, and we had about 2 inches of snow this morning. It's all melted off today, but that's springtime in Idaho. Good. That's a good point, Aaron. Better question is, what batteries are you going to use? I would think that at 5 years, your lead acid batteries are not going to be worth moving. Lithium batteries, which I swear by, and I believe, Aaron, did you do lithiums? Did I see a video from you to do lithiums? But I have the lithiums. I bought the Battleborns, and I'll tell you what, they totally, completely changed the way I dry camp or boondocked. Keep in mind, I have a Class A RV. I have a residential fridge that I put in, video on my channel. The 300, and I have 6 310 watt solar panels, so roughly 1860 watts of solar. And before solar, I would have to run my generator about 4 hours a day to keep my lead acid batteries charged up and working in reasonably good condition. Post solar, with 114 days of dry camping, 114 days off hookups, I had to run the generator a total of 9 hours. 4 of those hours I know were exercise hours. So once a month, summer, winter, spring, or fall, whether I'm living in the RV or not, I'll run the generator for about 15 or 20 minutes under load. Exercise it is what they call it. You're exercising your generator. It's really important to do it under load. And I have a discussion about that in here. And then I also have a discussion on my webpage on an article that I wrote about how to keep your holding tank monitor levels working correctly. So anyway, that's 4 of that hours of the 9 out of 114 days. And I have a desktop computer. I watch TV. I mean, I wasn't I wasn't, living on the bare edge of power. I went for it, and it worked out great. So solar and lithium completely changed my life. One of the things about lithium versus lead acid, especially if you have solar, is they charge right up. When you charge a lead acid battery, you'll get a big surge of energy into it until it gets up to a certain voltage, and then it'll sit there and it kind of levels out, and that's called the absorption cycle. You can only charge a lead acid battery so fast, whereas a lithium can take pretty much the full input charge you want to put to it. In my particular case, with my setup, I was running just about 90 amps of charge to the batteries, and they would charge up. If I got 6 hours of sun a day, I was good. I didn't ever have to worry about charging batteries. There was a couple rainy days where the sun didn't come out, and I wasn't, like I said, paying very close attention to my power budget, and so I ended up having to run the generator. Okay, Ivan Josie, yes, you have one 100 watt solar and 2 AGM. I want to upgrade to lithium. What configuration do you recommend? 25 foot Class C RAV, yeah. 100 watts is going to be a little thin as far as rechargeable. 2 AGM, I'm assuming those are 12 volt batteries. I have in the works right now the potential to do a sponsored product for another company I'm hesitant to mention at this point that's doing lithium batteries. They're down in Utah. Excuse me. And when I get around to rebuilding, getting a camper and doing the camper, I'm planning on doing lithium in it. So I'm going to revert to Battleborn. If anybody in the chat has experience with others, I know there are Lithonics have had good reviews, and people think they're good. There was another one. Was it Lion? I can't remember, but I would have to say that 2 AGM batteries is going to be the equivalent of 1 lithium battery. Because keep in mind, with lead acid batteries and AGM is short for absorbed gas matte batteries, for those that you may not follow all the nomenclature. The jargon is the word I was looking for. Those are just lead acid batteries. You can only draw those down to about half. before you start to cause damage. Versus the lithium, when you can take them all the way down to basically nothing, and they're going to provide to you the same amount of power that they do at 80% charge versus 30% charge. The thing of it is that the lithiums, again, you can charge basically in a straight line. There's no absorption cycle in a lithium battery. And so that's why with the solar, I can charge my batteries in about 2 to 3 hours on solar when I've got good solid, solar coming in, and I'm pulling in about 90 amp hours. Let's see. Titan has its own battery that's lithium. Okay, that was the other one I was thinking of. The Grow Watt. You add your own batteries. I have Deep Cycle Marine's batteries that came. Okay, 3 of those. Deep Cycle Marine. Yep. Those are just RV batteries, and I would think at 5 years, those batteries are probably going to be dead, and you're probably going to want to be replacing them anyway. When camping, what do you watch on TV or cable? What do you watch on your TV, cable or satellite? I used to have a satellite. I got rid of it because it was costing me $150 a month. If I'm in an RV park that has cable, I will hook up to the cable. But I'll tell you, I'm lucky, I admit it. But on my cell phone, I have an unlimited data plan from Verizon that I've had since probably 2000. And I would stream. So if you want to know, I watch Netflix, of course, Prime. I used to have Hulu. I gave it up. I tried Sling TV. It was okay. Ran it for a while. I had DirecTV Now for a while. It was okay. And even here now at home, I watch a little bit of off-air on the antenna. I have an antenna, of course, on the RV, and I would tune in and find local channels. I like to catch the local news. And then the rest of it, basically, I'm streaming online. I have fiber internet here at the house now, and so it's fast as fire, and so I'm really happy with it. What do I use for water purification? I have an RO, a reverse osmosis, under the sink. And then this past 2 years ago, I bought a water softener for the RV. It's a little tank. It's about yo tall. And you just recharge it with table salt. It's just like a water softener, and it's just like the water softener in your home, except it's portable. And it was good money spent. I really should have probably got a water softener many years ago. So I have a water softener, but then I also have RO in the sink. And it's just a small reverse osmosis system that sits under the sink. And then I drilled through. I'm sorry, I'm knocking my mic. I drilled through, and it's got the spout just like on your sink, and that's where I would get my water. Cost of batteries is holding me up from doing solar on an RV. Yeah, I had to wait a while too, Aaron, because I had just replaced my batteries in 16, and at $9.50 a piece, it chokes you when you buy 4 of those. But I will note that you can, if there happens to be an RV show in your area, and Battleborn happens to be there, go visit them, because when you call in to order your batteries, they'll give you the show price, which knocks $100 off. The other thing too, when I replaced mine, side story, is that they didn't have the GC2 type replacements. And for those of you with Class A's, well, in Class C's too, if you're running 6-volt batteries, those are the GC2, is the golf cart batteries. And they're a little bit different in size, and the terminals are just a little bit different on it. I ordered my batteries. 3 days later, they released the GC2 batteries. I had to modify my battery tray and do a bunch of stuff on that, and to get them to work out. But I love them. I definitely love them. But I totally hear you, Aaron. It's a lot of money to put out. Now I probably have all in batteries, solar charge controller, solar panels, and everything, about $6,000 in solar to have a good solid solar system on my Class A. And again, that's 1,860 watt hours of solar. and 400 amp hours of lithium battery. Lithium, I have to buy them. Okay, yeah, there we go. Oh, you have the Victron 150, perfect. Reading Food Porn Chef, was responding to questions about solar and moving it, but trying to get my 3500 generator bulky and heavy. Yeah, those generators are a pain. Plus, when you're out boondocking, the last thing you want to sit and listen to is a cotton picking generator. They drive me crazy. But sometimes you got to have a generator, and I totally get that. I think, as a side note, I do think Titan makes fine batteries. If you're into the RV scene, if not, go watch Pippi Peterson's channel. She is an RVer. I've been watching her channel for over 7 years now, and she's just cute as a bug. But she actually built her own solar panels. She's done a lot of solar on her RV Ria Rada, which she actually sold. And well, go watch her channel. It's a good channel, and she's just as cute as a bug in your ear. Well, a bug in a rug. Let's see. Anthony G says, I'm going to use Methadone Black and Gray tank over Happy Camper. Packed everything and save big money. Yeah, exactly. He picked it up yesterday and saved money. We're going out this weekend for our first trip. We still get the smells with Happy Camper. The Happy Camper is really good. I know a lot of people use it and swear by it. In fact, I've used it myself. But it is more expensive than the Borax and the Dawn. But Happy Camper works fine. One of the things that you got to keep in mind, though, is that if you have a used RV and you're just starting to use the BioGeo method, it's going to take 2 or 3, 4 treatments to get it to where it doesn't stink. And again, I can't overemphasize this enough. If it is stinking a little bit, just go add a little bit more borax. 1/4 cup down the toilet, throw a little extra water in there. You should be good to go. Alrighty, let's see if I can catch up. All right, let's see, lithium. Okay, Larry asks, he's a generator, but when he tries to start it, it blows the 5 amp fuse. But if you put a 7 amp fuse in, it starts and runs fine. Any ideas? How big a generator is it? Is it external or internal to your rig? Jason Mills caught me live. So awesome. Been full timing for a year, and my videos have been a big help. Thank you, Jason. Tip on best heat pads for holding tanks in freezing weather. Okay. Actually, go find yourself some inexpensive germination mats, seed germination mats. Make sure they're thermostatically controlled, though. You shouldn't be camping in cold weather where you need to keep your holding tanks warm anyway. My best advice is go south. I'm just kidding. I know there are commercial products out there for your holding tanks to keep them warm. I've not used them, and I didn't find I needed them. In 2013, when I was in Denver for an extended period of time, I was there from October until February when I actually ended up buying an apartment. But that Thanksgiving, it got down to 22 below. And I got up early in the morning, as some people do, at around 5, to visit the little house on the prairie. And I thought to myself, damn, it's cold. How far did I turn the temperature down last night? Well, it turned out that the furnace had quit working, and it was 25 degrees inside my coach. I used to have one of those Brita pitchers that sat on the kitchen counter, and there was a 1/4 inch of ice on the top of that Brita pitcher. Well, ultimately, what had happened is that my gas regulator had froze. I had gotten a new tank of propane, and there must have been a little moisture in it, and it froze the gas regulator, which froze up the gas line. And what I ended up doing was I took a heating pad that I had, I put it in a plastic garbage bag. I went out and I wrapped it around the regulator, plugged it in, went back in, and went back to bed. And within 15 minutes, I heard the furnace click, and it turned on, and it defrosted. Now, I'll tell you, I didn't freeze one pipe living in the RV, and I spent a fair amount of time winter living in the RV. The year before that, I was up on the Blue Ridge Parkway in February, and I didn't have any problems. Food Porn Chef, thank you very, very much. I greatly appreciate your support there. He donated $5. Thanks, pal. But so, unless you're just in super cold temperatures, Jason, I think you probably might be okay not heating your tanks. Now, I don't know your personal situation, and if you'll make another comment down below, maybe we can figure it out. So, I'll just keep reading through the comments here, and we'll catch up with you in a minute. Let's see, where'd you go there, Ivan and Josie? Do you think upgrading to 300 watt solar, 2500 watt, 3000 watt inverter, and 2 lithium batteries is an overall overkill? I don't think you need that big of an inverter. I got by just fine with 2000 watts in my Class A, and that was with my fridge and so on and so forth. Ultimately, I did have to replace my inverter. My inverter failed. Um, Another long story that I'll try to remember to tell was the blown tire that left an oil slick in Tennessee that was there the next year when I drove through. Anyway, it didn't blow the motor, but it sure as hell blew the tire, and it's a long story. But I think 2500, 3000 watts is probably a bit much, especially for a 25-foot Class C. Unless you have some kind of really big power draw thing, I would think that probably 2,000. 300 watts of solar, that'd be a good start. 2 lithium batteries would be pretty good. Um, I don't know which. I do know your RV, but I don't. But you might want to check and make sure that when you're driving down the road, your batteries are being charged. A lot of newer RVs do that. It's really handy so that when you're driving down the road, your coach batteries are charging. You can hook up your trailer batteries to do the same thing by just simply installing a charge wire from your tow vehicle to your travel trailer. In fact, I had to hook up a charge wire from my coach to my Toad because my battery kept running down. Mostly because I would leave it all night and forget to turn the damn key off. But anyway, so yeah, you can run a charge wire back and charge them that way as well. Okay, let's see here. So I hope that helped. I think 2 lithium batteries is going to be plenty. That's the same as that's the same amount of amp hours you're going to get out of 4 lead acid batteries, 2 lithiums. So anyway, I think that's good. Buying things like cutoff switch inverters, bus bars, just some nice and clean, easy, and can be used in a cabin. Yeah, you can actually move all of your bus bars, your disconnects, and everything over. And in fact, if you go to my Amazon store, cheap plug, I have a whole page full of solar bus bars, disconnects, all of the Victron equipment. It's kind of impractical to buy solar panels on Amazon, although I've noticed the prices have come down a little bit. And solar panel prices have come down a bit too. I've seen them now down around 65 cents a watt. When I did my solar project in 2018, I think fully installed with everything, I think I was around 80 cents a watt. Okay, alrighty here. So Amanda, alone for 15 months in 2004, open road fifth wheel, and not knowing, being uneducated, I had electric problems, and the friend of a friend came to fix whatever, but made it worse. Oh my God, how many times have I heard that? I'm so sorry to hear that, Amanda. Is it dangerous to have electricity straight to the 30 amp? Inverter almost caught fire. Refrigerator, microwave, and TV all fried. Anyway, I'm learning plumbing repairs at the moment, so I'm thankful. It's really hard for me to comment. What I will say, Amanda, is if you want to take some pictures of your setup and email them to me at trbolin@gmail.com. Again, that's trbolin@gmail.com. I can take a look at it and probably make a better guess. For right now, electricity is something that's easily goofed up if you don't know what you're doing. and maybe the best to call a technician and have him come out and take a look at it. I know it gets expensive, but what's more expensive, having it work right or having your RV burn down? I'm not saying that to scare you in any way, shape, or form, but yeah, so if you want to just take some photos and email me some photos of your setup, showing me, kind of what you're trying to describe here, the electricity to the 30 amp. Uh, I'm kind of guessing that maybe he's just got a plug from the inverter that you plug into the pedestal. That's probably just fine because there's going to be a breaker on the pedestal that's going to provide you some safety. There's some safety there. But yeah, if you want to take some pictures and send to me again, mail them to trbolin@gmail.com. I'll be happy to answer your questions if I can possibly help you at all. I will. Nice Nebraska says he watched the tube red poo pyramid videos. That's better than cable. Gosh, I hope so. Yeah, that's probably my most popular video. The last time I looked, it was getting close to 600,000 views and nigh on 2,000 comments, and 80% of them are, I tried it, it works great, thank you so much. Yeah, the price is crazy. Upgrade can get pricey. It sure can. As far as the batteries and stuff. And again, I can't thank you enough for the super chat. Their food porn chef. Aaron, let's see. Yep, great. Aaron is a good man. Aaron's from the Pacific Northwest as well. Aaron, did you sell your house and move full time into the RV? Okay, Bob Cross. Thank you, Bob. You're welcome, Bob. Anytime. Jason Mills. Predator 3500 from Harbor Freight has been an unbelievable generator. Everyone who hears it's amazing. Yeah, I've actually heard good stuff about the Predator 3500s from Harbor Freight. If you watch my channel and you saw some of the home improvement videos I did last month, or in the last 6 months actually, I buy a lot of stuff at Harbor Freight, but I just don't buy anything that drills or cuts. The quality just isn't there. Yes, borax is different from boraxo, kind of. Victor. The story goes like this. My grandfather ran a Chevron service station for 45 years. Next week, I'll get a picture of me in my little Chevron uniform at about 5 years old. And one of my jobs, I hung out there all the time. And one of my jobs was I cleaned the bathrooms. And in the bathrooms there were, if you're old and gray like me, you'll remember the borax powdered hand soap dispensers that were in the bathrooms. You get a little powder in your own. Well, one of my jobs was to fill that, and it was called boraxo. Well, when I did that video, and I'm in the process of actually remaking that video so I can get that out of there, I would call it boraxo instead of borax. Funny thing is, the borax hand soap works great. I was worried about it, and I was kind of in a pinch, and I couldn't fix the video, so I went and got some, and I tried it, and it worked perfect. So, but borax is what you want to use. And then I also found there's another brand of borax out there, Milliard, I believe it is. Anyway, it's on my Amazon web. It's on my Amazon. It's on my Amazon store, and I've actually used it, and it's really good too. And it's about the same price as the borax, the 20 mule team borax. Let's see, I kind of jumped over here. Food porn chef, yes, because I have been going over my head, which cause help me. Okay, Water Titan or Victron. So I do thank him. Yeah, really. Again, I think you can't go wrong with the Victron food porn chef. The Titan batteries, I believe, are really good. I think they're really solid batteries. Stay away from that Chinese crap, I guess is probably what I should say. Ford Larry McBride. Oh, it's a Orin in a motorhome. Oh, okay. So I would think that the starter is probably going to draw more than 5 amps. I'm answering Larry McBride's question. He was talking about how he has a fuse that's blowing when he tries to start his generator. With a 5 amp fuse in, with a 7 amp fuse, it does not blow. I would think that starter would draw more than 5 amps, but I'm not exactly sure. Um, so the only thing that would come to my mind right off the top is that perhaps the starter is getting a little old and maybe drawing a few more amps than it should. Um, but that's a good question. I will promise you this. I will take a quick look at that this week, and if you'll be back next week, I'll see if I can get you an answer. I'll just make myself a quick note here so I don't forget to look at that. Oh, Jason says the Texas cold snap froze him up. Thanks for the tip. Yeah, that Texas cold snap is pretty chilly. Are you in a travel trailer, fifth wheel, or like a self-propelled RV, Class A, B, C? Jason. Ryan Reynolds. Hey, TR, thanks for helping me. Okay, you're welcome, Ryan. Yeah, the last thing I want to do is have anybody cause more damage to their RV than they're trying to fix. Let's see. What about a microstart on the AC to run it on solar in the RV? Yeah, those microstart, soft start, that's a really good idea. This is again from Food Porn Chef. What happens is, just real quick for people, when you start an electric motor, when it first gets turning, to get the initial inertia, hey, that's a lot of eyes, isn't it? But to get that motor turning, there's a little bit of a surge of current, and then it comes down into the operating range. To stop that, most ACs, well, most electric motors will have capacitors of some sort in it, and all a capacitor is kind of like a battery, provides a little boost of power for just a couple milliseconds, just long enough to get that motor turning over. Well, on solar and on batteries on an inverter, the start of that motor could be more power than your inverter can provide, and it would trip your inverter off. And so the way they get around that is they put something on called a soft start. And all it is a bigger set of capacitors. And so they'll be sitting there. It's a device you put inside the AC unit. And so it takes the amount of power that it is required to start that motor and reduces it considerably by storing a little bit of extra electricity in another set of capacitors that then provide the electricity that's needed to get that motor initially started. I think they're a good idea, especially if you're going to be boondocking a lot. Jason Mills from Washington State. Most of the time temps 10 to 55, 3 months out of the year while in the RV. Okay, so yeah, a heated hose is probably a good idea. And then, of course, if you're in an RV park, you want to drop your sewer line and make sure that you don't have it setting open. When I was in cold climates in camping like that, I had a heated hose. You can make your own heated hose by going to the hardware store and buying some, hose insulation and a heat tape and that kind of stuff and making your own. I just went and I bought one. It was around $100, and it worked perfectly down to 22 below. I never had any hard or water freeze up. Yeah, excellent. Thank you. Ivan and Josie, thanks. You have a good night too. I know it's late out where you're at. Can you just have Victron MPPT to solar and batteries without having the other inverters? Absolutely. Yes, you can. If you're going to be living on just 12 volts, then all you need is 12 volts DC with no inverter. Or if you have a different type of inverter, that's just fine. But yeah, you can get by with just a Victron MPPT solar charge controller and the batteries. Okay, Amanda, I'll look for your photos and we'll take that up offline, and then I'll put it on the list to chat again about next week. Jason Mills, thank you very much for the super chat. That's greatly appreciated. Let's see here. Aaron, yeah, sold the house in Kent. Yeah, I thought you were at Bremerton. Yeah. Oh, but you've been full-time for 6 years? Jeez. I thought, well, maybe I've been following you that long. If you don't know, Chatting with Aaron here, Aaron Jemison. He's over in the chat window. He has his own YouTube channel. He's also an RVer, and he does RV how-to stuff. And I don't know, it's been at least 3 years that I've been watching you, Aaron. So, and I thank you for coming on tonight. Aaron is actually work camping out at the Amana colonies right now. So it's a fun place to visit. If you're out in Iowa, definitely worth stopping in and seeing the Amana colonies. Pretty fascinating. Ryan Daniels, just turned on my AC for the first time, and now there's water dripping off the slide. Okay, I'm assuming you're in a humid climate, and what happens is when you run your air conditioner, the hot air, warm air holds more moisture. Cold air, when it gets cold, it holds less moisture, and that moisture's got to go somewhere. So in your AC unit, when the air gets cold, it's going to lose moisture, and there's going to be a drain in that AC unit that's going to drain it out onto the roof, and then eventually it might end up on the slide, yes. Unless you're talking about it being inside the coach, that's a completely different story that you should probably have looked at pretty soon. That means that for some reason there's water leaking in and around and through the AC unit, and it can cause a lot of trouble. And water damage in an RV, it could total an RV in a winter if you're not paying attention to it. Just leaving it sit over winter with one seam leak could potentially destroy your RV. I was chatting with some folks that were asking me about mold mitigation through my website at www.trboldland.com. I have to throw in those cheap plugs every chance I get about mold, and it had set over the winter. And they came back, and it was just full of mold, and it sounded to me like, of course, I'm here in Idaho and they're down in Northern California. So, I can't go look at it and help them out, but I did what I could. But it, one little leak, if you get mold in an RV, it can be very, very difficult to get rid of. Ryan, just turn the AC on. Okay, so I got to you. The cap on the fuse says 5 amps. It's a 1987 model. Okay. I guess it could be the first thing I would be suspicious of is maybe the starter. It's just getting old and probably needing to draw a little bit more amperage to get it started. This is for Larry out in Northwest Arkansas. Does it seem to start okay though? I mean, if you put a little bit larger fuse in it, 2 amps is not going to be enough that I would be too concerned about it. If you're talking 10 amps difference, say between a 5 and a 15 amp fuse, then I might be a little bit more concerned about, running a little larger fuse. But 2 amps, yeah, I think I would be for checking the starter and just making sure that everything is everything is in order there. Do you service the generator yourself, Larry? Jason Mills answers back, 2021 34-inch bumper pull, Heartland Trail Runner, and my whole rig smells like rotten eggs. Okay, go watch my BioGeo video. It's on my channel, and the title is How to Easily Get Rid of Black Tank Smells in Your RV. Go watch it. You'll fix it. All it involves is dish soap and borax. Here's coming up on 8 o'clock, so we're going to be wrapping things up here in just a minute, but we'll take whatever questions come in between now and then. Ross Hack, watch my black tank video. Great job. Thank you very much. How long will it take to fully clean an older black tank on an everything that's parked in a campground year round? I can't pull it to rattle the tank. Content. Okay. It might take you 2 or 3 or 4 weeks. So I'm guessing that's probably a weekender for you. So you probably go home during the week and you come up and spend the weekends at your trailer in an RV park somewhere. So do this before you leave. Just dump your tanks, then fill them up and treat them with the borax and the Dawn, or the borax and the orange cleaner, or Zep. Zep works as well. And leave it for the week, and when you get there the following Friday night or whatever, dump your tanks. And if you do that a couple times, you'll be fine. It could take 2, 3, 4 cycles, Just depends on how much crud's in the tank before it starts to not smell. And if it is smelling between treatments, again, I can't emphasize this enough, just throw another little 1/4 cup of borax in there, and that'll knock the smell down right now. It takes that smell down real quick. Okay, Larry answers the question, and this is what I was hoping would happen with this kind of live chat, is that you could ask me a question, I could ask you questions, and we can kind of maybe come to an answer. Larry wrote back, it starts fine and runs fine after it starts. You change the oil and filter. You're probably okay to just leave a 7 amp fuse in there, but if it starts blowing that one, then I think you need to dig into it. But again, I'm going to look into this. You said it was a Kohler. I've got it in my notes here. It's in the live chat. I'll be able to go back and find it. Oh, it's an Olin. 4.0 Olin in a motorhome. Okay. I'll see what I can find on that. Ask a few people and see what I can come up with. Okay, so... Yeah, okay, exactly. It's a weekender. Then just let it set there for the week while you're gone with the treatment in, the borax and the Dawn. And you might have to do it 2 or 3 times, but eventually it's going to clean itself right up. Alrighty, Aaron, could be as simple as replacing the air filter on that generator, starving it off air cause it to draw more amps. That's a good point, Aaron. So Aaron was answering back to Larry, you know, that it could be a dirty air filter causing it to draw a little bit more when it's trying to start. Also, make sure you're using the correct weight oil for the generator. If it wants 1030 weight, don't run 30 weight in it, run 1030 or 1040 or whatever the case may be. Because, oh, and that might be a thought. Is that when it's cold that it has to have the 7 amp fuse? Once it's started and running, it would start with a 5. That might be a test I would try. Again, that would just be, you know, kind of pinning it down to whether it's just the engine's getting old, maybe the oil was thick, it took a little bit more juice, you know, a little bit more power to turn it over. So that might be a decent test, is throw a 7 amp fuse in it, get it started, bring it up to temperature, turn it off, put the 5 amp in, see if it'll start without blowing it. Fuses are fairly cheap, so that might be a thought. You're welcome, Larry, anytime. Wow, 22 current viewers online right now. That's awesome. Thank you very much for joining. Well, it is 8 o'clock Mountain Time, and I've been on for an hour. So I'm going to just go one more quick round here. Any other questions that might come up? Move this up so I quit hitting it. Again, next week, I will hopefully have this video produced on spring startup. So if you want to have an opportunity to go through, I'm preparing a checklist. This will be an article, a companion article that's going to be on my website, as well as the checklist. There will also be a video here on YouTube. And if the creeks don't rise and everything kind of goes the way I think it will, then I probably will have this up for next week. If not, we'll do another Q&A. The reason I'm kind of waffling, and I kind of started to talk about this earlier in the stream, is that if you follow my channel, on a kind of offhanded whim comment, I had mentioned to the gal that, thank you very much, Ryan. Thank you so much. That is awesome. I appreciate that super chat. The gal that sold me my house, I happened to mention offhand if she wanted to do some marketing videos, that I'd be happy to help her out. Well, it's turned into being not just her, but there's a couple of others now that are doing that. And I got a call that said they had about 2 hours worth of video that they needed me to edit. And if that comes in next week, I'd usually try to turn that around pretty fast. So if that comes in between now and, you know, the time I can get around to finish producing a video, and I'll tell you right now, this video on the spring startup will probably, I've got 12 hours into the write-up, the article, the research, and it'll be another 12 hours at least of recording, editing, bringing clips together, and doing all that. So with luck, I'll have it out next week, but it is coming very soon because it is spring, and I want to try to catch the spring rush. Randy thinks I will for sure. Randy Waller from out in Iowa. I will check on the comments and thank you for tuning in. Thanks again, Ryan, for the super chat. In fact, all the super chats tonight have been amazing. Thank you so much. Why am I selling my rig? I have had my RV, my Class A, for 8 years. I lived in it full time, off and on for 8 years. I took a 2.5 year break there when I lived in Denver. And some family things that eventually I have a disabled brother who's going to have to come live with me at some point, and so I needed a home. I suspect I have a couple years before that has to happen. A little bit had to do with the coronavirus, but that was probably just enough to get me off the dime. I want to do more expedition type travel. Instead of being out in my RV living full time and traveling about the United States, which was amazing, and I would do it again in a second. And in fact, I'm missing it. I will be honest with you. I am missing it. Missing spending my winters in Tucson. But I wanted to have a pickup. Of course, a pickup is super handy when you have a house because there's always stuff you need to haul from Home Depot. And I had to bring fence materials in my Subaru this past weekend. And I felt kind of silly with 2x4s sticking out the back of the car with the tailgate tied down. But then I want to get a camper and have a slide-in camper in it. So a pickup will be a good tool. I'm going to try to find a slide-in camper that needs some TLC, it needs some love. I'll rebuild that camper, put it all together, and then of course there'll be all this how-to that I will record as I'm rebuilding this camper. And then I will do expedition type traveling. I'll be gone for 3 or 4 or 5 days or a week or 10 days, or maybe during the winter, if I can swing it, I'll be gone for a month and I'll go south and get down into some warm weather for a month or 6 weeks in the winter. And the expedition type traveling I want to do is going to be to more places where you really can't go in a Class A. So that's kind of why I'm selling my Class A. As soon as I get all my parts and kind of get it ready to go, it'll be on the market. And there'll be a video on my channel and everything about my Class A. Wrap things up here. Make a buck soon, please. Yeah, thank you, Food Porn Chef. I really do appreciate it. Make a book soon, please. Yeah. I could write a book about my travels, that's for sure. Amanda, thank you so much. Good night. Oh, Rashak says, can't wait to see the slide camper project. Cheers to you. Okay, that sounds like a good spot to be calling this good. Thanks, everybody, so much. I greatly appreciate it. If you have questions, again, always submit them in advance. Go over to my website at trbolin.com, and you can submit your questions in advance there, and that way I can do some research like I'm going to be doing for Larry on his generator question, and it's blowing a fuse. Of course, you can just come in and answer questions here. Don't forget to follow me. I'm on social media, trbolin.com. All of that is going to be in the description of this video below. But until we get together next week, peace. Bye. Oh yeah, and hit that thumbs out on the way out. Thanks, Aaron, for reminding me. Have a good one, everybody. Oh, I guess I have to say stop streaming too. I'll figure this out. Bye.